Well, hello. Hey, it's Dren, and I'm here with another Ghost Notes. And I think this time I'd like to, I'm going to spend, I think, the next couple of videos doing some real shorter videos, short tips, quick tips for you for mixing, especially if you're working on orchestral or hybrid orchestral music. These might come in handy for you, if you're composing for any kind of media, games, TV, film, anything like that. I used to teach both at UC Santa Cruz in the Games and Playable Media Department, and then also at the San Francisco Conservatory Music, teaching, mixing, arranging with virtual instruments, sound design, and game audio. A lot of these tips are along the lines of being fairly basic, but I think they're helpful and maybe something you've forgotten or maybe just didn't think of. Anyhow, the students that I had really found these to be pretty valuable and helpful in improving their mixes. So I hope that these can do the same for you. This first tip is basically about low end, about how to add some low end to your orchestral mixes when maybe the octave below is too far below the orchestra. Like maybe you want to really give it some gravitas, but there's no more octaves, or maybe just the basses aren't quite getting you what you want. So this is about that, about finding another way to add some low end without texture. So maybe that's helpful. Here we go. Let's check this out. So here we are, the project. I just created a real basic project to show you some of these examples. So in here, I'm just using something simple like action strings. You are probably familiar with it. I don't use it very often, but it's great for just showing examples like this. So if you haven't ever seen this before, you can basically choose these patterns. It has these recordings of orchestras playing these specific patterns, so it could be handy in a pinch. I've got that for the high strings. I've got it for the low strings here. Basic Bulgarian low. Okay, so here's what we got so far. So action cue, building tension. You know the drill, right? And let's say that something happens in the scene now, and it seems like you need to do something, but you don't have the option to go anything besides strings, let's say. Like maybe the person you're working with, the director or whoever, says, I don't want any horns, I just want strings and maybe some drums. So you go, okay, I'll bring in some drums. So what if we try that? Let's see how that sounds with some drums. So you bring in some drums here, and over here I'm using action drums, which is very similar. It's got these patterns here, right? Just like the strings. And here we are at our moment right here. Okay, that helps make things a little more exciting. But we don't have the low end we want. So one thing that you can reach for in your bag of tricks is just putting a sine wave someplace. You don't necessarily want something with a lot of texture. You've got the obvious textures you need for that tension and for the excitement and moving forward. Let's just say you want a low end, deep thing to help give the whole piece a little bit more grounding in the earth. One thing you can do in Logic is if you go to the sampler, the former EXS24, the basic patch is just a sine wave, so you don't even have to go looking for anything. It's just automatically a sine wave. So that was me playing it on my keyboard. So you can just grab this and then get a note that's not in your orchestra. Maybe it's below where things are right now. So it's pretty low A you got there. And we can add that in. We can add that into the whole thing, and let's see how that sounds. And here we go. Without it. Well, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? So it's just one of those things that maybe not everyone thinks of, but just adding a simple sine wave and a real low octave can really help you get that bigness that maybe you're looking for in a certain moment. It doesn't have texture, so it's not an obvious choice of, oh, what's that low end sound I'm hearing? You don't have a synth playing with a filtering and things like that going on. It's just a plain old sine wave, and it can sound pretty good in a little place like that. Anyhow, that's what I got for today. That's my little mix tip trick sine wave thing, and I hope you find it helpful. See you next time.